Hey, everyone, and welcome back to the Word Traction Podcast Network. Today is Saturday Stratagems, which is when I take an issue that has been popping up on repeat in the news and kind of try to project forward to see into the future and try to take a hold of some not quite QAnon level, not as I say, it's not because it's a conspiracy, but it's not because it's a conspiracy. And the steady drumbeat from the founders of the tech bros, hearing it from Dario Amodei and Sam Altman and Zuckerberg and Elon, of course, and to a lesser extent, Jazzy DJ Jazzy Jeff Bezos, is we're just we're not panicking, but we're warning you, we're going to be power constrained. And this is kind of the same argument that was framed in a way around chips and Jensen Huang and others about, do we give China access to our most advanced chips? And we talked about this on an earlier episode, that China itself has, made a decision to exert a little bit more discipline on its indigenous chip industry. Xi Jinping and the Chinese Communist Party said, in essence, instead of us being beholden to U.S. controlled interests, we're going to forego perhaps keeping up with the pace of development that the U.S. can match in AI. And, and with that forbearance, we're going to support and pressure our own indigenous chip industry through Yahweh and others to keep up, because that that restraint will allow us to surpass the U.S. ultimately. It will allow us to make Yahweh competitive in a shorter time frame than the taking the easier path at buying the most, if not the most advanced, but then the B class NVIDIA chips. So, and that seems to be working, because news just this week about advances in the China's indigenous chips and the performance outpacing expectations from the markets. So they're doing just fine. They have plenty of resources. They have the smarts. They have the bodies, and they have one thing that we don't have. Certainly Donald Trump doesn't have, but some of our leaders also don't have the patience, that the discipline that the Chinese uh, force themselves to work under, the constraints, and also the long range planning. It means that it's U.S. What are the demand for immediate gratification? That is, that we want the candy now. It's the little girl from, what is it, Veruca Salt? Is that it, from Willy Wonka? Daddy, get it for me now. That's the U.S., and that's certainly Donald Trump, because he's a spoiled prick, and that's what spoiled pricks do. Is I want it all, and I'm going to take with both hands, and damn the consequences, because I'm a king. But this steadier drumbeat that is getting a little bit louder about the being constrained by the energy available on the grid in the U.S. We have all heard stories, hand in hand with that, of course, is water. And there have been some recent, very disturbing stories about data center construction and promises that, companies come in and say, no, well, we're gonna drill our own well, and we'll be responsible for. We're not going to take water from the city itself. We're going to drill our own wells. But of course, as uh, not a geologist, but if you drill in the same area as wells that are supporting existing residential and commercial areas, then if you have a better technology and can dig deeper and employ more advanced technology to do so, you can do it more efficiently and thereby limit the draw that the existing well owners have, right? That you're going to F up the water table. And that will happen similarly in the power grid because the deals that are being struck, there's also the overlord, the corrupt overlord, Donald Trump, who is telling leaders in red states what they must do in their own states. When Donald Trump wants an approval for a certain company to build one of these Mac Daddy data centers that are they're they are both necessary and an inevitability, but it isn't at any pace, at any cost, because that would be silly. They do a lot of silly shit in Washington. But if you think about it for your state and local level, you have somebody in Washington telling you to do X, Y, and Z when you know, even though you don't want to believe it, that they will exploit you in order to reward the businesses that pad their pockets, that put money into their children's crypto company. So you think of the tech bros coming into a city and saying, "Well, no, what we're going to do is we're going to be self-sustaining in 4 years." So, and we're going to, you're going to have a big spike in employment because we need people to shovel the shit. And we're not going to do it because we're spoiled pricks ourselves too. So we're going to employ, some shovels and an electrician and a plumber for a short period of time. And we're not going to employ anybody after that because the robots are doing that. This is a data center. This is not. We don't need somebody resetting the pins in the bowling alley. We got our Elon robots to handle all that, and AI and robots. We're good, so we're not going to need any of you. Even our robots are going to do the janitorial work, so we'll be fine. But for what we're going to do because we like you is for 4 years we're going to employ a whole bunch of people and dear neighbor, we're going to uh, uh, we're going to purchase and use one of them newfangled Westinghouse nuclear reactors, so we are completely self-sufficient. In fact, we're going to be generating so much power that we're going to give some back to the city when we're done, when it's up and running. Now, if you have any hesitation about doing this and building this center, then just call DJT. And he said it was all right. So we're going to just do it. Right? As far permitting and all, no problem. Right? The White House is going to handle that part of it too. So we're gonna get to work and we're going to build this. You're going to give us the first 4 years. You're going to give us tax incentives and on the property and in all other forms for 4 years. But then when the data center is up and rolling, we're going to be self-sufficient. We'll have our own our own power source. Then you can impose the taxes for the fair value of the real estate and sales tax and whatever else Bernie Sanders comes up with. So all you have to do is work with us the way that Donald Trump told you to, and everything's going to be fine. Therefore, we're only going to be a drain. The only risk, and let's not even call it a risk, the cost of doing business is you allowing us in the initial years to operate off of your electric grid. So no problem, right? A little bit of water, but nothing serious, nothing to worry about. We have some studies right here. So, and again, if you have any questions, any doubts, don't have any doubts because Donald Trump said that he's going to make this happen one way or another. So, yeah. So let's just consider it a done deal. We're gonna get to work tomorrow, and we're gonna build a data center here. All good? Great. Thanks. Nice talk. So some version of that story where there's going to be tremendous pressure exerted for the remainder of Donald Trump's term. And the fun part of that is that you incentivize, say, let's pick a hypothetical clown. We'll call him Zuckerberg, right? So he comes to town. He builds out the facility. He's given tax credits for 4 years on the value of property, and other fees, use tax, whatever it is. Wait, because we're glad to have you. And he employs. Initially his projections said that he was going to employ, uh, 20 to 25 tradesmen and some other laborers. So maybe he comes in a little bit short and he only employs 4 because he decides a couple months down the line that it's so technical that the work he needs to get done, he's going to bring it in from outside. But you know, all good. He's spending money down at the corner store, and isn't it fun and sexy to have like the founder of Meta in our little town here in Mississippi? This is great, right? The thing is, when you find out 3 to 4 years later that nuclear reactor, or hopefully they're not promising fusion because fusions may come online in 7 years or so. And even if you go down the road, the Westinghouse models, it still takes years to build this stuff out. And that's if nothing goes wrong, right? So all of a sudden, you've got these guys on your grid, build out, up and running. It's necessary for national security that it carries on because they will sell the idea that if all of this doesn't go our way and if we're not given access now to the grid, you know, Elon data centers in space, delightful. If Elon gets on the bus with them and goes and keeps going, all the better. Leave his kids, bring his kids, whatever he wants to do. Right? Any of his 12 baby mamas, whatever, you know. But what we're going to be left with, just this drumbeat that I'm hearing, is it's the same as with the chips. You know, if we don't accelerate this now, China is going to overtake us. And that means Armageddon. That's the end of the world. You look at our situation right now, you think about it in what would be the main downside to be living under authoritarian rule, like in China right now. Limitations on free speech, limitations on freedom of the press. What else? What could be what could be worse? Right? Yeah, welcome to America. Enjoy your stay. Yeah, but you think about the power of these voices of Elon Zuckerberg, DJ Jazzy Jeff, and and Sam Altman and Dario, who Dario's the good guy in this. He's the conscience of AI, the frontier dudes, right? That he wants to do safety. Trump has recently again made noises about wanting to be involved in that conversation, but he's not doing anything. He wants to make sure to be in a position to exploit the industry for all it's worth first, and he'll leave safety considerations to the next administration because he is stealing with both hands. And anything that sounds like a safe, responsible build out in AI in his mind is, that's like communism. That's like taking an interest in private enterprise. That's unheard of in Ronald Reagan's party, which is dead as a doornail right now. Yeah. So so my Saturday stratagem, what we're going to be listening for in the coming, it won't be long, weeks and months, is that the desperation, manufactured or otherwise, of these founders of the frontier companies, the AI leaders, the Altmans, the Darios, the Zuckerbergs, the Jazzy Jeff, the Elons, and others are going to be clamoring that we have a national emergency. So, my dear leader, we need you, sir, Mr. President, to help us accelerate the build out of these data centers, or we've essentially surrendered to the Chinese. And, sir, the best way for you to do that, to help us, um, that envelope is for you, sir, when we leave, is to compel localities. Let's victimize those in poor rural areas in the South, sir, because that's where you have the most juice, right? And we can tell them, sir, we can tell them anything we want to, because by the time we're in the ground and it's a national security imperative that we continue down this road, what are they going to do? And the only time they're going to start taking the money back in as a city, county, state on that level, not on the national level, is at the expiration of that 3 to 4 year tax moratorium. They're going to see the dollar signs, but it's going to be just out of reach, right? So by doing that, it's we got them in a trap, Mr. President. So I know it sounds a little devious, sir, and if you'll excuse me, I didn't mean to impugn your integrity and suggest that we would be doing anything that was unethical, but this is so important, sir. This is this is the future of humanity right here. We're deciding that at this table today. And if I didn't mention it before, when I get up and leave, that envelope that says DJT on it is for you, sir. So thank you. And thank you for taking the time to see us. It seems like only yesterday we were laying naked, face down on your lawn outside the White House. Wasn't that a fun time, sir? Yes. Well, we thank you for everything, and we will be awaiting your return telephone call after we identify 7 more sites for these data centers. And all we need you to do is to compel those local authorities. And they don't want pizzas delivered to their homes, sir. So of course they're going to listen to you. So we're going to be accelerated construction to get this done while you're in office, sir. And once we get it in the ground and we're up and running, then there's no turning back. And what are they going to tell us to do? pick it up and move it somewhere else. So, yeah, so that's fun. And that's our Saturday stratagem, and I just ask you to, start listening when you hear another cry that sounds like a whimpering child, but it turns out to be a founder of one of these, frontier AI labs. Then think about it, and then when you hear it again, and you hear it again, and you'll hear more stories of towns that are finding out that their residents are no longer able to draw any water from their well. And if they re-drill a new well, then there's a chance that what they're gonna be drawing out of it is looking a little bit brown. And this is happening a bunch, right? It's not a, it is not a limitless, resource. And, in the trends of the environment, it is not going to be increasing except if you count melting glaciers as a win for saturation of the water table. Yeah, it doesn't work that way. Uh, it'll be bad. Now they will have these baby geniuses with the AI companies will have all sorts of excuses of how there are some tremendous advances in technology. I shared one on the platform about 2+ weeks ago, where there is these mechanisms that draw the moisture out of like essentially by dehumidifying in a way. I'm not a technical guy, but essentially drawing the moisture out of the environment in order to produce water. Seems promising. I don't know. I'm not a scientist, but the scale of this new tech, the scale of the data centers and the number of them that have to go in the ground real fast to keep up with what the U.S. leaders contend is necessary. It's going to be a little bit unsettling. So yeah. Anyways, that was a Saturday strategy. Thank you for tuning in. No conspiracy theories, no QAnon. QAnon was not a sponsor of this program, but it's we're in bizarre times. And I would have told you that it was unlikely that the president was writing checks on the Department of Treasury like it was his own personal piggy bank, but it's happening every day, twice on Tuesdays, and his kids are getting into the game too. So, yeah, thank you. And wishing you a good weekend tomorrow, maybe, and certainly back with you on Monday. And I'm going to, am I going to be able to do this without? I may stand up with this. So try to be a little bit more artful with that and find a little shade, and then I can actually shut off the camera without doing any permanent damage to on the feet. Thank you.